Live from the Cajun capital of the world.
I'm the average Lafayette, Louisiana kid.
See, I'm back on my...
Hey, fellas. Hey, Brady Review said, congratulations. Say what's up, y'all. Yeah!
People that have courage don't have no extra gene and no difference in you. The difference is, are you going to sit down when it's time to stand up?
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back in to another episode of Rage and Review. We see a lot of people listening in tonight, excited to get this one going, boys, because it's been a while since we had some big breaking news. And if we didn't all have jobs, we would all have hopped on an emergency podcast. But unfortunately, we do have jobs. We got stuff we got to do. I got a sweet new setup, by the way. KG complimented me on this. I upgraded a little bit, and I'm at Thelma's house in Lafayette. You can't even tell. Boys, it is good to see y'all. Josh, or I should say 281-330-8004. That number still works, by the way. Glad to have you joining us tonight to give your thoughts, because I know you wanted to get in on the action when it comes to the AD talk. It's something that we've talked about before. You're very passionate about. You had some takes that ended up being right. I think I also had some takes that ended up being right as well. You know, every now and then, blind squirrel, the nut, you know, that thing, that's me. So we'll talk about the AD situation. We'll talk about Dr. Maggard leaving, what's next, what we can expect, timelines, all that stuff. We'll get into it in just a bit. We got to thank our sponsors. We'll come back. We'll talk about the AD situation. We'd like to thank the following partners who make Rage and Review possible. Our title sponsor, the Best Stop Family Market, with locations in Katy and Baytown, Texas, Toledo Bend, Karen Crow, and of course the official location opened in 1986 in Scott. Visit the Best Stop and ask about the Rage and Review tailgate platters. Gulf Coast Bank, title sponsor of the Tailgate Show every Saturday, 3 hours before kickoff. Planet Radio 106.7. Lafayette Roofing. The Yard Goat. Yes Please Branding and Marketing. Old Time Grocery. Stride Safety Solutions. Eat Lafayette, brought to you by Lafayette Travel. Rage and Hydration. And Dr. Brett Venable at Recovery Chiromed. And we'd also like to thank our Patreon sponsors listed here. For only $2 a month, you too could have early access to uncut interviews before they air here on our shows. You also get an exclusive Patreon icon next to your name on Cajun Threads, the official message form for Rage and Review. If you are interested in joining as a Patreon, visit us at patreon.com/rageandreview. Thanks to all of our corporate and Patreon sponsors for making this show possible. Lots of big things coming with new sponsors in season 9, so stay tuned for that. Some big meetings coming up, and we hope to unveil some new sponsorships for 2026 and 27, so looking forward to that. Before we start, Josh, I do want to say something, and you didn't know I was going to bring this up, but I did want to let everybody know Josh has kind of officially, I wouldn't say cut ties with Rage and Review, not at all what he's done. But from a business perspective, Josh has a lot going on with his kids, with life. You know, he's got his own business he's got to run. And so he's stepping back a little bit from the business side and handed that off to me in the last couple of weeks. And I wanted to tell you from all of us, thank you so much. I don't think people understand how much work goes on behind the scenes, and you just handling that and not really getting us involved really made it just easy for us to throw content out there and get stuff done. So my dude, thank you for everything you've done. We appreciate it. You've been an absolute rock star. And no, dude, we appreciate everything you've done. And I didn't want to start off tonight before we thanked you for that. Brother, you're awesome. We appreciate it. And we got to do dinner soon, man. We got one, not final time, but one time you're not the business guy anymore. We got to treat you out to something. Maybe at Michael's. Maybe we go get some crawfish or something.
I have a strict policy about eating at places where people don't have clothes on, so I don't think that's going to work out. But no, I mean, you know, we're going on season 9, right? Well, season 9's here. So first of all, congratulations to you guys for keeping it rolling and doing an excellent job. The setup is nice. I know there's some upgrades in the works. So I just got to find some time to do more things with the time I would have spent doing the pod. No, but the pod's always been about everybody. It's been about the people that come in, lend a hand, kind of take a little ownership over it. I mean, we've had probably 10, 15 people come through here and contribute of in some way. So to make it official was it's kind of sad in a way, but at the same time, it's growing. It's. I mean, the tentacles of Rage and Review are all over the place. We continue to be on the right side of history, so it's got to continue. It's got to roll on. So, it's only going to get better from here. But y'all are doing a great job, and Nick was. I mean, who else was going to take over the reins? I mean, Nick is dedicated more than pretty much anybody you'll find, and a lot of people may not know that, but he puts a lot of time and effort in behind the scenes. So it was an easy handoff, and I mean, look at what's going on. They're doing a great job. So, yeah, I appreciate you saying that, though.
The harder I try to say I need to back away and let you guys run things, the more I get into it deeper and deeper. So I'm never saying that again, because I'm always like, I lead at work all day and I don't want to do that anymore. And then I end up doing it all anyway. So I'm just going to shut up and just do it. But no, thanks again, Josh. We appreciate you. And thanks to all those of you who chimed in. And like Josh was saying, not only, 10, 15 people have kind of rotated in and out, but all you guys who show up every single episode. Raging Cajun 77, Bryce, I see you, David. Elliot's there. James is probably going to be here later. RC, all you guys show up every single time, and that really helps us keep us motivated to do these shows. So thank you all very much. All right, now that all that crap is over with, let's get into the fun part. This week was scheduled to be all about football. We were going to start getting into breaking down the offense and kind of highlighting each offensive unit. Well, we didn't really get to do that because Jerry calls me before the news is broken. He goes, might be a very interesting show on Thursday night. And I'm like, oh God, it's Maggard, isn't it? Like I knew right off the bat, because we kind of all had this feeling, and I've been saying it for a while. I'm like, he wasn't at media days. We're going through a huge transitional period at the university. He's not been seen or heard from. I'm like, something's going on. I get he's got a kid who's getting married. I get that he's got vacation planned. I get all that stuff. But in the midst of all this turmoil, you want to hear from the guy who's in charge of athletics, which we didn't hear from him. So I had kind of a little feeling that was happening. As soon as Jerry called me, I'm like, it's Maggard. He's gone. And right as we're on the phone, it releases on Twitter, and then everything starts, blowing up at that point. So we have a lot to talk about it, not just about the fact that he's leaving and who's going to replace him. But I did want to kind of go around the horn and ask you guys about his legacy. I came out with an article that day, just kind of highlighting the things that he did that was really, really good for the university. And there was a lot to be said about what he has done as far as certain coaching hires, as far as facilities. I mean, you look at the fact that he came in when Farmer kind of screwed the pooch on the baseball stadium, worked to get that situation fixed, and now we're in a beautiful stadium. Football, we kind of kept having to push and fundraise for that. He finally got it done, and it looks really good. So I think facilities-wise, he has done a lot. I think he's made some good hires and made some good hiring decisions. But I think, there are some things that are lacking as far as fundraising efforts, outsourcing things, not really having a local connection. And I understand that he's kind of a COO type of individual, which is what he's going to be doing at Missouri. But as an athletic director, it starts and stops with you and who those you hire. We saw a significant drop-off when Nico Yanko left to go to Murray State. There was a significant drop-off there as far as community involvement and engagement. So to me, again, Maggard is more of the facilities guy. He's more of managing from afar. But when you lose your lead fundraiser who's really out there in the community, it makes it really, really hard for you to do that and connect with the community. So, Jerry, those are my thoughts, and I did a whole article. I don't want to spend 15, 20 minutes talking about the things I've already kind of regurgitated in that article. But from your perspective, the good, the bad, the ugly, what do you think Brian Maggard's legacy, not only what do you think of the job he did, but also what do you think his legacy will be at UL?
Yeah, I think first of all, I've gotten to know Brian and Carrie very well. They're great people, and I wish Brian all the best. I actually had the chance to communicate with him the other day and thanked him for his time here. I mean, it was going on 10 years this coming February. So he has been here for a long time, and he came in at a time where college athletics was sort of transitioning. I think his legacy here is going to be remembered as a time where it was a time of difficulty, and it was a time of transition with college athletics as a whole. He got here when there was no NIL. He got here when there was no portal or crazy activity in any of the portals and any of the college sports. He came in during a time when TV contracts per conference were really started to flourish across college athletics. And it was kind of a result. His hire was a result of the Mike Alden report. Of course, he worked for Mike Alden at Missouri for a very long time, which is where he's going back to now as a deputy athletic director and COO. I think I can reiterate what you said, Nick. He made some really good coaching hires. I mean, Billy Napier was the pinnacle of that. I mean, Billy Napier comes in, brings us to the top 25 2 years in a row, first ever 10-win season, and he does it 3 years in a row, double-digit wins. First outright conference championship in 2021, first one since 1970. So there was a lot of success on the football side of things, and you can thank Brian for making that hire with Billy. And I also think weathering the storm with the death of Coach Robe. I mean, that was a tough time. It was this time of year, 7 years ago in 2019 when that happened, and I thought Dr. Maggard did a really good job trying to kind of lead in the coaching search and deal with that, with the fan base as well. And hiring Coach Deggs. And that time was a very confusing time for our fan base. And I thought he did a really good job leading that, especially losing a guy close to all of us, right? And he's still, number 36 will always be here. And Dr. Maggard did a really good job handling that. The whole Mike Lotief softball drama. That was really his first challenge when he got here.
Terrible, man. And I know some people are kind of going back and saying, well, history is treating that differently now that we look back at it. Maybe at a different era, he wouldn't have gotten fired. I still think he would have gotten fired, but that was tough early in his career having to deal with
that.
That.
And it was really one of his first big challenges because it happened that year. And the year he got hired, and then he hires Jerry Glasgow, which was his first big hire. And it was a challenging hire based on the history of our softball program. And I thought he did a good job with that. That was Jerry, say what you want about him, but that was a good hire, And just, his coaching hires were great. I know there was some tug of war with the Bob Marlin era, especially since it wasn't one of his hires, but he made the move and let him go in the middle of the season last year. And that was, or 2 years ago. And that was a gutsy move. And I know he got a lot of flack for that. But he made the move when he had to. And that was where I felt like he listened to the fans, which was, it was deafening. Silence is deafening in a silent, Cajun Dome and nobody's there. But that was a big change. And, you have a lot of money people that wanted Bob to stick around. And Dr. Maggard made that move and said, look, it's a tough call, but I have to do it. And, the verdict's still out on Coach White, Quantas White. It's his second year. We'll see how that hire went. But overall, I thought his hires were pretty good. The bad, I would say, the bad, in my opinion, was the lack of evolution within our fan base to understand how to be big time. In other words, I think one of the things that Dr. Maggard did coming here is he took the Missouri model, which is great, but he brought it to a fan base and a group in an area where we really didn't understand how to react to it. It was one of those things where you kind of came in and instead of when you're used to a price being a certain price point of tailgating and this and that, the price doubled, right? And there were certain things like that was done during his tenure that confused a lot of fans. And I think there were some negative reactions to it. Like not all of us have $50,000 checks to write, and I think that transition was tough for a lot of fans. And I think that was there was a little bit of a miscommunication there, especially considering the fact that, when you're used to something for so long, and we've been used to it for a long time, and people may criticize it, but you also have to assimilate to the way we've done things, even though it could be negative at times, right? So I think that was bad at times just because I think there was a communication barrier between what they were trying to accomplish and the fans trying to adjust to it. That was I would say that was bad. The ugly, just the situation we're in now. If you look at the situation we're in now financially, and it's not just athletics, it's across the entire board of the school. The ugly to me is the lack of communication, in my opinion. Now, I don't know if this is true or not, but the actions speak for themselves. The results speak for themselves. I really believe there was a miscommunication between the athletic department and Martin Hall. You look at the financials, you look at the numbers, and you just look at the number of cuts we've taken job-wise. There's no way that these groups met once a month and said everything's okay, and then you drop a bomb with this financial situation. You drop a bomb with the fact that we lost tons of people. They put a hiring freeze on the athletic department. I mean, we barely have an athletic department running right now. And on top of that, you have to you deal with the portal and you deal with NIL, and you're asking the fans to give, right, to NIL and all these things while there's a dumpster fire going on with athletics as well as UL. So to me, that was nothing that had to do with Brian Maggard. I think that was a bigger picture where the situation we're in now, especially when Dr. Savoy stepped down, to me that was the ugliest because of the situation we're in now. So, in all in all, I want to thank Dr. Maggard for his time here. 9 years is a long time. I think he did some good things, but also I'm kind of bittersweet about it. I think it was a mutual thing where I feel like Dr. Maggard, he wants to find better opportunity. I think he did some things like the facilities and whatnot, but I think because of what has happened, I do think it may be time for somebody new. Not to say that, I'm happy Dr. Maggard's gone. It's just more along the lines of, I feel like he feels now with the situation he's in that he can't really accomplish much more based on the circumstances. So, nothing but love for Brian and Kerry. I wish him the best of luck in Missouri. Thank you for what you did for UL Athletics, and, best of luck to you. He gets to be closer to his family, his grandkid, and I think he's going to do well in Missouri.
Josh, you had some comments earlier in the season, and you were like, I called it. I said he was gone. And sometimes you even went as far to say it's almost like we're self-sabotaging ourselves at this point. Does that have anything to do with the Maggard situation, you think? And what are your thoughts overall? I mean, the more I look back on it, the more I kind of feel like Maggard was a great AD when he came in under the situation that we had before NIL happened. And all the fundraising needed to be done. And he was given a blank check. Great AD under that situation. When it came time to, okay, you got to raise your own money, kind of lacked at that. So talk to me. What are your thoughts? And, pat yourself in the back, man. You called it a while back.
Well, once the financials dropped, it wasn't hard to see. And then there was a lot of intricate things about the athletic department that people really don't care about, nor do they because they don't care to know. And that's fine. I totally understand that. But you see, this is why y'all need me here. The professional answers are fun and great, and that looks nice in the paper. But the truth of the matter is that while there were some good, there were a ton of bad things. There were a ton of things that set us back. Look, I'm going to say before I go, I think overall you lean positive. It's a net positive with Brian. He moved the football forward. He never let go of the vision of, hey, I'm going to build a stadium here, and that's going to be my legacy. And I think in the end, that's the feather in his cap. I think that's what he'll be remembered for. Somebody mentioned it in the comments, his first wave of assistants, administrators, I thought were strong. Obviously, Nico was his right-hand man. But Nico also raised and secured many of the deals that paid for that stadium. Brian, I think his strength was he was a good administrator. He presents well. He understood that profile mattered. But I also think that's part of one of the reasons why he ultimately didn't accomplish as much as he could have. He prioritized profile over what was actually happening. He never truly came around to understanding how this culture works, and this culture wants to be told the truth too. They don't want to be lied to. They don't want to be, I know lie is an ugly word and people don't want to hear it, but they don't want to be BS'd. We would rather just be told the harsh truth and dealt with, let us deal with it ourselves and how we do it. And I think that they struggled with just being transparent with the people who were paying the bills. I think that was ultimately his undoing. Look, he hired Billy Napier. I have my qualms with how people gave him credit on that. Really what happened was he got a last-minute phone call, and they were like, hey, if you don't interview this guy, what are you doing? And They had a contract drawn up for Brent, and we all know that. And I got killed when it didn't happen because I was the only one willing to get on any type of public media and say that was what was going on. But the history, it happened. But look, Lance Key was a disaster. That goes around his neck. He had to appease the softball people with Glasgow. Glasgow was a ruthless, win at all cost type guy. In the end, it bit him. People are saying Deggs is a hit. Deggs is a TBD. Deggs has gone to some regionals to this point. That's a good hire. It's not a home run hire.
But then I go back to it, Josh. That was almost a situation where can you really credit him with it? Because everybody's first call would have been Deggs. It was like writing on the wall. Who else are you going to get?
Absolutely. And look, we all supported it. I did. I was one of the biggest cheerleaders for the move. So by no means am I saying he made a mistake. I think Deggs is starting to age a little bit better, but there was some rough patches there. I think anybody who follows a program will say that. I know it's popular right now to be all in on the Deggs train. I get it, but there was some touch and go moments for a while. So that the Dez thing, some good, some bad. He made some good hires. He made some bad hires. It comes with the job. But I kind of want to get into a little bit further than that. ADs get credit for all these hires. Sometimes you get more credit than you deserve, and sometimes you get more blame than you deserve. I think you hire the best candidate at the time, and they do their thing, and you kind of have to live with the legacy. I think, and I'm going to give a lot of credit to Dave Schultz for pointing this out. I listened to his pod when the news came out, and it kind of just took me down memory lane. You got to remember that Jerry's daughter passed away in the first couple of years that Maggard was the AD here. Jerry mentioned, what happened to Mike. He lost Tony in the first year and some that he was here. So he had to keep the stadium going. Baseball, he had to somewhat stabilize baseball as a program. He had to appease. First of all, you fire Mike Lotief. To this point, he was one of the most popular Cajun coaches of all time. You had to fire that man in a public way. It got nasty in the courts, and he had to navigate through that. So he gets credit for that. And then even to land Jerry Glasgow was a big deal back then. I know everybody hates him now, but it was a good hire at the time. And there are a few others, but he gets credit for that. He gets credit for coming in with the Alden Report, coming in with a new sense of professionalism. He seemed genuine. He was willing to meet with the community. And I think over time, and I put this on the bad side of the ledger for him, over time, he just became a creature of the bureaucracy. He hung around the T-Joes of the world. And look, I got love for T-Joe, but we all know how he is. They got a little too comfortable. That edge kind of dulled over time. So, you got to talk about that when you talk about the legacy of Brian Maggard. I said, if you go back to the episode we did, I think it was December the 10th, in the middle of the football season, and Jerry actually watermarked it at the 2-hour, 6-minute mark. Cole and I go on this legendary rant because the state of the program is just not good. And I kept trying to say this without saying it, but we needed some leadership because we were going through some tough times internally with the finances, with state of football after we had dumped so many resources into it. He just didn't lead in a bold way. Not for me. Not enough for me. Go back to when Napier left, okay? Napier leaves for Florida. We were in the news for a positive reason while losing a coach, right? Not only did we not follow up Billy Napier with a splash hire, no shot at Dez, I'm just saying we didn't follow it up with a splash hire. If y'all remember RCAF and all of their support administration, that building was empty for 16 months. We had an entire summer as if we didn't even have a football program. They didn't double down on the Sun Belt Championship. They didn't hang a banner. They didn't put up a billboard. It was like it never happened after Billy left. Even in the new stadium, you see no ode to that season and that team. That's the best team we've ever seen. It's still not there. It's as if it never happened. So that's a major. And to what extent finances played in that, I don't know. But I know this: you can't have the leader of the fundraising arm, that seat be vacant for 16 straight months. That doomed us. You want to talk about being $25 million in the hole in a single fiscal year. You're going to tell me that 16 months of not raising funds and not doing everything we can to get money into the coffers didn't contribute to that? I mean, it absolutely did. So financially in a bind, I would have liked to see Brian lead a little bit more from the front instead of being so profile conscious, so worried about the image, and that he, dealing with us, we saw a lot of that. They did not want to just be honest with the people who were giving money. They would rather just take that very neutral position, not good, not too good, not too bad. We don't want to alert the natives, but we also don't want to put ourselves out there too much to where we're getting too much attention. I just didn't think that was the right way to go. And you go back to basketball, yeah, he went out and he took a big swing with Quantus White. I agree with that. But he also held on to Bob too long. That's a fact. He let the boosters totally destroy that program. And the way that regular fans felt about it for about a 3-year period, that was so ugly. And it didn't have to be that way. Brian could have stepped in. Trey could have stepped in. Somebody needed to guide that rudderless ship when it was going down. I mean, that still a disaster. It's a stain on his record. And that's why they got so upset about it when we started talking about it. So I could go down the list, but for me, yeah, I'm saying that Brian Maggard was a net positive here. But man, it's not fair to everybody that was in this. I'm not going to call it a fight, but the people who saw through kind of all the BS and went through the day-to-day with the program, covering the program, trying to do what was best for the program, and kind of being shunned because we were trying to have transparent conversations. Brian didn't do that well. So it should be highlighted. I wish him the best. I mean, he's kind of been sniffing around Missouri for almost a year, 9 months. I mean, it was kind of inevitable. So that's what I have to say about it.
Yeah, and I think I agree with you on. I think he holds on to coaches a little bit too long, and I think we're seeing that. I mean, I get it's women's basketball, but look at what that program has turned into. I mean, it's almost embarrassing. We have two coaches on staff, and the minimum number of scholarships we can have for women's basketball, and we're not really competing at a high level there. Again, you go back to the Bob Marlin situation, and it was also handled really strangely because he could have cut ties in the summer, and he does it in the middle of the season where, I get we were kind of on the down trending downward, but at that point just finish out the season and then, and start the search. I don't know. It was just done. I think it was done poorly, Josh. I mean, we were glad with the outcome because we feel like it was one season too late, but still it was a weird timing on that firing, in my opinion. So I think he hangs on to coaches. He gets a little too close to the coaches and their families, and it gets a little too personal for him. Maybe that has something to do with the Tony situation. Maybe that has, DJ Looney passed away while he was on staff. We had a lot of tragedy and a lot of heartbreak during that time. Maybe that's why he's gotten close to some of these families, but at the same time, this is a business. And I don't know about you, but I know going in, our athletic director, if we go, 6-7 again this season, extend Des, because that's acceptable in our world. Another AD might not think so, and it won't be his hire. So that'll be interesting to see how that transpires, how this football season transpires, and what kind of repercussions it could have based on the AD's thoughts, not his hire. Do we cut ties at that point if we go another below 500 season? KG, I'll give you very, very quick thoughts, and then we'll get into the part that you want to get into, or I want you to get into with us, which is who do we think is going to be the next call or one of the first calls that they make. But just your overall thoughts on the legacy as far as how do you think his legacy, will it be a positive legacy when you look back on it, mixed? What are your thoughts?
Well, definitely mixed, but like Josh said, it's going to be a net positive. He definitely moved the ball forward. He overall left this place in a better spot than when he got here. I remember, when Scott Farmer was our athletic director, I was still in school praying for the days that Farmer would be out the door, and in walks Brian Maggard, and he totally changed the culture of this place. At the time, he did. He was a breath of fresh air. He brought a great persona about him. I'll never forget his very first baseball game, the year he stepped on campus. He came sit smack dab in the middle of Section A with us. He actually sat next to me and my wife Blair, and we got to talk to him for three innings. And he was very open about, his time in Missouri, the kind of guy he was. He talked about his family a little bit. He got to know us. So, at the time, he was very personable, which I don't think that's ever changed about Brian. To this day, he's very personable. He's and Josh touched on it a second ago. He is aware of the image that you have to carry with being an athletic director, which is a great quality to have. You started this conversation, Nick, with the good, the bad, the ugly. Y'all have all kind of touched on everything I'm going to say. The good is obviously the facility upgrades. We have needed them in the worst way across all major sports. Obviously, years ago, we got softball. I think that was the first domino to fall. Softball is arguably a top 10 facility in the country. Baseball is a top 25, and especially maybe top 3 in all of the mid-major, quote-unquote, mid-majors. I think we have an extraordinary stadium with, MLT Moore Field. And then football's beautiful, and I'm excited to see the other half of the stadium get finished. I know we only have the home side right now, but if the visiting side is going to mirror the home side, we're going to have a hell of a football stadium as well. So, and Maggard gets to hang his hat on that. He was a part of most of that. So that's the good. The good is that he came in here, wanting to get things done, especially from a facility standpoint. He absolutely did that. He appeased the fans. Now I'll get to the bad. The bad is that he didn't move the ball forward from a branding perspective. Ragin' Cajuns is one of the most recognizable college brands in all of athletics, at least in our eyes. I mean, the merchandising, just everything you could put out there in the world, we should have been a front runner in the branding world, which I just don't think it's ever improved. I mean, you could take Barnes & Noble, for example. You can go on any game day store at, football. They have the little trailer, in baseball, they have the team store. You can't get anything worth a crap in that store. Like, if I can't get team gear on campus or anywhere around town, I got to go to Absolute Embroidery just to get anything worth a crap, or Louisiana Hot Stuff. And those are people that are
second to last in the Sun Belt Conference in branding and merchandising sales. We're behind ULM, bro. That's
correct.
Inexcusable.
And like I said, Ragin' Cajuns, and I'm trying to be as unbiased about this as possible, that is such a recognizable brand, not just in Louisiana, not just the Gulf Coast, the world. Like, Ragin' Cajun is synonymous with South Louisiana. It's synonymous with our university. And we did not move the football forward in a branding aspect. And it's pretty sad that you have independent businesses in Lafayette like Absolute Embroidery and Louisiana Hot Stuff that have to carry the torch for the university. Like, why are we not effectively branding ourselves on a national level? Hell, we're not even doing it on a regional level. We're not even doing it at a school level. And the ugly, Jerry, you talked about this. Oh, well, I'll let you talk before I go to the ugly. You hit on it real quick.
Well, it goes back to what I said about the lack of communication between athletics and the academic side, Martin Hall. Why does the academics control the revenue from the apparel? If you look at the deal, you looked at it, I don't even know if athletics gets a huge chunk of that revenue. Then on top of that, they cut the Barnes & Noble deal, and they're selling like $70 T-shirts or whatever it is that says Louisiana Lafayette on it. Who's going to want to buy that? So I can't put that on. I personally can't put that on athletics as much. But again, there's that communication barrier, right? Nobody communicates it. But anyway, go ahead, man. You're good.
No. And while we're on the bad, and keep in mind, I should have led it with this, Nick. My goal tonight is to talk from a fan perspective. You guys are personal with some of the guys that are in the building. Y'all know them on a personal level. I want my take to be from the casual, active Ragin' Cajun fan. That's what I'm trying to be here. So I'll add one more bad. Bad is the concession deal. Outsourcing everything, right, Jerry? You talked about that earlier, or Nick may have. Like, this is South Louisiana, where we're known, locally for have some of the best food spots in the world, and we have cafeteria food from Sodexo running our athletic concessions. It's a joke. Like, we should be sourcing all of that stuff in the city of Lafayette. There's people that would be proud to do it and would probably give you some sort of a discount to do it. I hate that we've outsourced the authenticity of this city. That's another one of the bad. And the ugly is the obvious. Jerry, you said it earlier, the transparency barrier. Especially when the report came out that we were, tens of millions of dollars in the red. and that really caught all of us by surprise. It's just there was no transparency there, and I'll say this as well. Once Nico left, it felt like that was the last domino to fall, and everything after that kind of unfortunately went with it. I feel like everything went south really fast once Nico left. His right-hand man, Nico, was very active in this community, especially for a deputy athletic director. But man, the ugly is the transparency and just the way that he had to leave. But all in all, I mean, I don't want to get too ugly about it. He's gone. I know he's going back to Missouri. That's where he's from. That's where he wants to be. He's going to get a great opportunity to be the deputy athletic director over there in an SEC school where the budget is a little more friendly to get things done. And I mean, honestly, I do wish him all the best because he did improve, from where we were back in, 2015 to now. But like all good things, they do have to come to an end, and unfortunately, it completely ran stale over the last year or two here. It was time to go. Same with Bob Marlin, right? It was time to go. Same, with a lot of things. So go ahead, Josh.
I was going to wait until you're done. I just wanted to say that I also want to give him credit for coming on the show. He literally had a department that was not allowed to talk to us, and he came to talk to us. So he gets credit for that. But man, the third-party contracts, absolute disaster. I think just this 1 year, we paid Learfield, which shout out Learfield, making a change at the top. We paid Learfield $3 million just this year to raise $400,000 for us. Like, that's how bad these contracts are. So I just want to say that we're.
So
anyway, he gets credit for coming on the show.
Why are we sitting through games and every single thing is sponsored and all you hear is sponsorships and everything is bastardized, and the things that made Louisiana special and not having all these stupid things being announced every 20 seconds. Now every scoreboard thing is like an ad because they have to sell it, and we're only making $400,000 off a $3 million investment. Again, I'm hoping that the new guy is able to review everything. I mean, we've signed the contract, so we're screwed. We're in it, but at the same time, hopefully we get somebody local who understands the culture and that we're not a Major League Baseball team. We're not an NFL team. We don't like that stuff here. I get we need to raise funds, but at the same time, don't treat this like a minor league game. Treat it like a true college experience.
Well, Nick, that's actually a good segue to my last point, and then we can get to the fun stuff and start talking about, future ADs and all that stuff. The one last ugly that I got, because I kind of gave two of each, is that I don't like in his tenure that it seemed to go from fan-friendly, like culture-friendly, down home Lafayette, Louisiana, to strictly corporate. Everything got sold out to corporate. And the true fans, the families of Acadiana, it seems like they got pushed to the side for the corporate side of things. Now, I get that you need that because that's how things get paid for. That's how Our Lady of Lourdes Stadium got built. That's how Russo Park got built. I get that. I get that side of things. But there is a middle ground when it comes to that sort of thing. And it seemed like the needle, especially now, like where we are now, the needle is so far in the red on the corporate side that to this day and to this moment, the common Cajun family, myself included, my wife, my three kids. I mean, we go to all the games, but do I feel like I'm outpriced at all of them? Absolutely, I do. It feels like we, as an athletic department, we are just catering too much to the corporate side, and we need to get back to somewhere in the middle where we have, family-friendly concessions and ticket pricing and tailgating, and not just catering to the corporate side where you're outpricing everything and only focused on that. And Nick, I'm going to say this, the new athletic director will have a challenge, and we're going to get to this a little bit later in the show. Baseball, right? They're moving the fences up, and they're thinking about building a party deck in the outfield, kind of similar to what, Mississippi State has. The big telltale sign about whoever comes in here, are those seatings in the party deck going to be corporate boxes, or is that going to be for, fans to go out there and have a good time just like Mississippi State is? Because that's what makes Dudy Noble Stadium so great, is that to this day, to this point, it's still fan-ran in the outfield, and it's one of the 7 wonders in college baseball. So if you're going to continue to cater to the corporate side of things and only sell those as premium seats, it's just going to be another thing at the stadium that's going to be empty because, yeah, they'll buy them, But like everything else, none of those corporate guys are going to go to the games. So anyway, that's my take on Maggard. Thank you for what you've done here. Unfortunately, time ran stale and we had to, go our separate ways. But now, Nick, we get to the fun stuff and kind of put in the puzzle pieces about who might be picking up the baton over here.
JL asking about the Learfield change. Brian Billy has gone to Mississippi State. My understanding is they have hired a new Learfield GM. I did get his name today. Don't know who that is, his or her name. I'm not saying whether it's a him or her, but I was just generally speaking. Don't know who they are, but they do have local connections. So fingers crossed that that gets back to kind of the local flair, and which is why I think our athletics was so successful in the back. I mean, at the front end, you look at Nico, and he's an outsider, and Brian brought in some outsiders with him, but the core was John Duga and Jessica Trahan and David Faber and all of the local people who worked in athletics. Gerald Aber, no longer there. All people who were connected, all people who knew what we wanted at games, all people who helped to build the fun at the game. I mean, you go to a TSAB baseball game, and yeah, you're going to see good baseball and you're going to see some exciting plays, but you're not going to have fun between innings. You're not going to have the dizzy bat race and the John Deere tractor race and the pitch on the mound and all the stuff that people get excited about and the great music and Section A and going back and forth. And you're not going to have all that stuff. You're not going to have an experience outside of baseball. That's what we pride ourselves in. Got to keep that going. And the new AD has to understand what we have built and from the ground up, ourselves as fans need to get back to that. So enough of that. Dr. Maggard, thank you for all you've done. Best of luck in the future. Send us some Missouri swag so we can wear it during TSAB weeks. And we will support the Tigers from that perspective. Go ahead.
And come back on when you get to Missouri as the deputy AD. If you got a time to come chop it up with Rage and Review, please come back. Like Josh said, thank you for coming on the times that you did, because we know that there's always been some headbutting between us and the athletic department at times, but you were a man, you put your hand up and you came have honest conversations with us. And Josh, thank you for bringing that up, because we would have been remiss to let that go or let this in without it, thanking him.
It'll be interesting to see if we play them in baseball and we call to get a coach on, if we'll be able to talk to a Mizzou coach. That'll be interesting to see how that plays out. I'm looking forward to that. I kind of want to play him now just to see what happens. All right, Trey Frazier is interim AD, not going to be the next guy. We're not going to get into the whys behind it, but Trey Frazier is not going to be the next athletic director. I think that's not what Trey is going to do, and I'll leave it at that. We kind of went around and one of the things I tasked you guys on doing was coming up with a name that you think outside of Nico, because we'll get to Nico at the end and why we all think that and maybe not all of us think that he should be the guy, but I think that's the first call we should make. He's making a lot of good money at Murray State, and we'd have to find a way to get him paid here. Maybe it be an incentive-based type of deal. I don't know what that looks like, but again, we'll talk about our thoughts on Nico at the end, but some of the names that we think maybe have been brought up or maybe would be the first call that outside of Nico that UL should make. And KG, I know, okay, so initially I said Ben Broussard from NC State. He's a deputy, I think he's a deputy AD out there, does some fundraising stuff. It's the Wolfpack Club. I don't know if I haven't really dug into it, but Ben Broussard was a name that was kind of mentioned to me as somebody who is from Lafayette, has a family, would probably want to come back home, may or may not have already been contacted. Ben Broussard from NC State. But the more I think about it, I just have a sneaky gut suspicion that Jeff Landry will be involved in this politically. Josh made a great point this week. He said, did we get money from the state to help close the budget gap? Yes, we did. So it's Louisiana. You don't get things for free in politics here. And you have to think that there's going to be some kind of recommendation from the governor or some sort of payback that he's looking for. And KG, I'm gonna go to you first. One of the names that has been brought up many times is T. Schroyer, Senior Director of Athletics at LSU, formerly at McNeese State, I believe, from Lafayette, went to Acadiana High School. And at first I got the nasty feeling in my stomach about it because I'm like, I don't want a TSAB guy. But if you get a Landry guy, you get somebody who has his ear. So talk to me about it. Is that the pick that you had was a TSAB guy and thinking that he may be one of the calls that are made one way or the other?
Yeah, going back to what I said earlier, I'm speaking from a fan perspective, but if you look at things that make sense, right? No matter how you feel about him, the good, the bad, the ugly, the pros, the cons, whatever you want to call it, Heath Troyer would make a ton of sense. I mean, just came from McNeese. I want to say his salary over there was somewhere around 250. Now he's at LSU doing, what is it, maybe even the deputy AD over there. He's got the ear of Jeff Landry, who is an alumnus of UL. It just makes too much sense for that not to happen. I do think if you put a gun to my head and you made me put chips on the table, who do I think is going to be that next athletic director? I just think there's too many things that tie him to this area and this school for him not to be the AD. Now, I'm going to give the fun answer, which somebody said earlier. I should have pinned it. If you're asking me who I would want as a fun answer, which we would never be able to afford him, and I'm not talking about Nico. I think Nico is the fan favorite. Everybody would love to have Nico come home. It's just, can we afford him with our athletic budget issues? Probably not, if we're being very honest with ourselves, unless Nico's willing to take a family discount to come on home and rebuild this thing. But a fun answer, give me Tommy Mack in Lafayette, baby. Give me Tommy Mack, fan of the pod. How full circle 360 would that be? Tommy Mack, dude. And you know how we felt about him in the shit that we gave him. But when he came on the show last year and we really got to talk with him for 2 hours? Like, that totally changed the tide. He was just a dude. And just really a fun guy. And like I said, I wish I would have pinned whoever said it in the comments earlier. But yeah, they were like, bring Tommy Mack to Lafayette. So no, that's my fun answer. I mean, I think he would do a hell of a job over here. But realistically, going back to what you said, Nick, and I mean, y'all are opening it up to Jerry and Josh. Y'all know these people from a personal level. I'm speaking as a fan. When you look at face value, it just makes far too much sense with the way that Jeff Landry likes to get involved with athletic departments, especially LSU's. I guarantee you it's going to happen with his alma mater. It's going to happen. It's not a matter of when, if, it's a matter of when. And if it is a matter of when, Heath Troyer, who's the number 2 at LSU, just makes far too much sense to slide into the position over here. And the only positive, not the only positive, but one of the main positives, and Nick, you talked about it a second ago, is that he's from here. He understands the culture. That's something that Brian didn't have. Brian had to come here from the Midwest and learn it on the fly. Heath Troyer's from Lafayette. So he knows everything that the Cajun fans want, everything that the Cajun fans need. And, we go from there. That is the main positive, is that you would be getting a homegrown local in the building who has the experience. Say what you want about him. He built McNeese. I mean, the Will Wade deal, he basically turned McNeese overnight into a nationally recognized, smaller D1 university. That's hard to do. A little school in Lake Charles, Louisiana. So anyway, he's got the experience for it. He's well within our budget, I believe, and he's got the state ties. I just think it makes far too much sense.
I just pulled the Juanis and texted McClellan asking him, "You ready to come to Lafayette ball?" Was my actual text to him, ready to come to Lafayette ball. I'll see if he responds while we're on this show. Jerry, I mean, I think he hit on a few of the names that we had in mind, but is there anybody that hasn't been mentioned that you think will be calling or has a good chance of maybe sliding in as the AD at Louisiana?
Honestly, man, I forgot that Heath was from Lafayette, and I didn't even know he went to Acadiana. Honestly, Heath reminds me, he's an athletic director's version of Mark Hudspeth. He's full of energy. He knows the language. He speaks the language, and he gets fans excited. When he was at McNeese, they would do this event on Friday nights outside their stadium where it was, I think, some type of concert or something like that, kind of like a Downtown Alive, but at the stadium, where they would get like Wayne Toops and a bunch of local bands. And if you were part of I think it's called like the Cowboy Club, like their version of RCAF, you got in for free. And if you weren't a member, you had to pay so much money, and they had food and drink, and he understands the culture. I'll give him that. He understands the culture. He speaks the language here. I think he would be great. And I say he's kind of like Hud because he's energetic. He's full of energy. When he wants something, he goes and gets it. I honestly would be okay with Heath Schroyer being here. I don't know much about him, but I do know people that have worked with him and said he's full of energy and he has a lot of vision, especially in this area, right? Josh, you and I have talked about this ad nauseum. You know, this is almost like a different country south of I-10. So in many ways, you need somebody that can elevate a program, but do it in a way that we can understand it. In other words, assimilate to us. Heath wouldn't need that. A name that I found, and again, I know it's a little taboo to mention LSU. There's, I believe he was a former baseball player for LSU that I saw. He's the deputy athletic director, chief revenue officer, kind of saying that ironically because we kind of need help with our financials. But I like Clay Harris. Clay Harris, he's been at LSU. He's an LSU graduate, former player, but he's been there since 2022. He oversees their multimedia rights partnership. He does corporate sponsorships. He handles NIL. He handles ticketing, parking operations. So he does a little bit of everything. He handles most of the operations there in Baton Rouge. I know, again, it's not the popular thing to say. I want somebody from LSU, but he's a young and up-and-comer. I think he's somebody that's kind of like Nico that probably wants a better job somewhere. And like you said, if we're doing something where we're working with the state, what better person to get than somebody here? And say what you want, but he's at an SEC school. He probably knows a lot of familiar people, kind of like Heath does here. And there's no, I feel like unlike Heath, it would almost be like a plan B if, like to your point, Cole, if Heath weren't, named or interested. If we were to get somebody local, I would not mind going to Baton Rouge and getting somebody there, because say what you want, their athletic program is just, it's flourishing because of the support. They got money and they know the game. And so I would talk to Clay Harris. He's a former baseball player. He understands the culture from a sports angle. And those are the type of people, like I'll give you an example, guys. Whenever Brian Maggard got the job, the other finalist was Eddie Nunez, who was at LSU. And a lot of people said, I don't want an LSU guy. Well, he doesn't get the job. He goes to New Mexico, become the athletic director there. And he did such a great job there. He's now the athletic director at the University of Houston, right? At a Big 12 school. So obviously his resume was good enough to get there. I'm okay with I'd call Clay Harris if he's willing to take, I don't know what he's getting paid as a deputy AD in Baton Rouge, but I would, if he wants to up his resume, I'd give him a call. And I think he's probably like in his early 40s. He's not really up there in age. He probably has some ambition. I'd be okay with Clay. I'd see if he'd be interested.
All right, Joshua, you always bring up interesting names we don't think about in situations like this. So I am interested to hear your thoughts on who might be contacted or you would contact.
Well, you can find positive and negative in all these names. All these names bring negative and positive, right? So, like, Schroyer's from around this area. He's an LSU guy. I mean, I get that. He's also a win-at-all-cost guy, and that doesn't fit with this administration. So I don't think it's a fit. Also, just because you're going home doesn't necessarily mean you're a fit. There's downfalls being at home, too. You see it with players and coaches all the time. So I don't know. I'm not saying that I don't want the guy. I'm just saying it doesn't give me the warm and fuzzies like it does a lot. I can tell you this: if T-Mac comes to Lafayette, Raging Review is going to take off like Texags in College Station. Would be an incredible full circle. Time is a flat circle, all that. But no, I wanted to say this because when Tony passed, everybody knew that Matt Dexter was going to get the interview, right? We all knew that. We pushed for it. We just talked about it earlier. I feel like this is the exact same situation. Brian Maggard has been rumored to be leaving here for over a year. And Jerry will back me up on this. We know that UL Brass has been in touch with Nico for, probably since he's been at Murray State. I don't think that that's hyperbole. People have been talking Nico coming back for as long as I can remember. It's very difficult to come here, fit in enough to get the support of people that will support you financially, but also not get so intermingled into the socialite crowd, the bureaucracy, the way we do things here. It's a special kind of, and he found a way to do it. I mean, that guy closed deals that people that have lived here for 50, 60 years in fundraising couldn't do. I mean, UL at one point during the Audemars era was so toxic with fundraising, they couldn't even get in the door. Nico came here and within 3 years had secured the biggest gift of, I mean, probably in history with the $15 million from Our Lady of Lourdes. I mean, that's a massive accomplishment. We didn't even talk about it enough when it happened, but that was a massive thing that happened for us. Nico is personable enough to be able to relate with the community. He saw you that. He showed you that. He also gives you the small stuff. Like, for example, when Jerry and I tried to talk to Brian Maggard about opening up the gates to watch the regional at the Teague when we were on the road, Maggard said, how do we make money off of it? Nico's the kind of guy that goes, I totally understand that for fan engagement. Let's put up an RCAF booth. Right? Like, let's turn it into what, Jerry talks about opportunity costs. That went over Maggard's head. Maggard is an administrator, always has been. I think Nico, in another life, was an entrepreneur. I think that he fits that bill, that mold. And I think he would run the program that way. I think he would cut some fat. You also got to think, he's at Murray State. Murray State's entire athletic budget is what, $14 million? Maybe 16? I mean, they just went to the College World Series. He gets some credit for that, But he is managing a budget kind of in the same general family that we have, especially if you take away all the auxiliary funds that we won't be able to use anymore. So it's comparable. Like McNeese State, somewhat comparable, but you go from McNeese State to LSU, there's a lot in between those two things. So, I'm not trying to like dump on Schroyer, but it's been two opposite ends of the spectrum. I think Nico is doing what we need him to do at Murray State right now. And for those who think he's out of reach, he's not out of reach. Lafayette is, for all of its things that we like to complain about, it's a tremendous place to raise a family still. It's still incredibly cheap, all things considered. It's an extremely cheap place to live. The cost of living is low. So, Dr. Kaluru, I know you watch the show. I hope you're watching right now. There's one name that we need to be going after, and his name is Nico Yanko. And if it's me, he's already in town. He's already being wined and dined. We've already sent out a cavalry to get him and bring him back to Lafayette and say, remember?
We sent Juanes.
Remember how this was?
And asked him.
So you got to go after the guy who's proven that he can do more with less. He's proven that he can take the model that he learned here, bring it somewhere else, get results. That's proving what you can do on a national stage. It went to the College World Series. Okay, so I think it's Nico. I don't think there's a close second. I mean, these names, the Ben Broussards of the world, sure, he's a great guy. Sure, he's really good. But for me, he's kind of managing student aid and NIL at a middling ACC school. That's what I see. Nothing against the guy, but I'm looking at credentials. I'm looking at resume.
I agree with you. I mean, I think it's Nico. I mean, you throw whatever you can at him and see if he listens.
Let's get into it. Okay. He earned $650,000 as the director of athletics at Murray State. Great. So you get a reasonable base. You pump that contract full of incentives. Hey, correct. If we make a college football playoff appearance, even if it's on the back end like JMU did, if we win the Sun Belt and we're a top G6 school, we make the college football playoff. I forget what the conference gets. Was it $6 million, $4 million? I don't remember. But you take whatever UL gets from that, you get a portion, it goes directly to his contract. You do that for each sport. Give him a part of anything he earns as a fundraiser. Because Nico will be involved in fundraising if he gets this job. You make that part of the incentive. Also, you go to the money people who, by the way, Nico has the respect of in a major way. You go to them and you say, you know what Nico can do here. You know what he can do with a smaller budget. He's proven it. This is what we need to get into Lafayette. Do you want to win? A lot of people are looking at the situation and they're saying UL sports is falling off a cliff. It's rats on a sinking ship. The whole thing is dead. I see it differently. We have an opportunity now that everything's all come to light and the financials are public and everything's bad and we've lost the head of Learfield, the head of the athletic department, the ticket guy. I mean, we've lost. I think the janitor got fired yesterday. I mean, we've lost everybody. What you have here is a clean slate, and you have a guy that's going to have the key to the city. They're going to say, Nico, come in here, totally revolutionize how we do things. Where do you want to allocate the money? You want to put it all in baseball and basketball? Here you go. Do you want to, and I know football people don't want to hear this, but right now football can't compete with the big boys at this moment. Maybe we start trimming some of that fat and we start allocating it to, I don't know, men's soccer. Men's soccer is I've said this for 3 years. It's one of the biggest growing sports in the world, but in South Louisiana. We play in a conference where the national champions are in our conference from 2 or 3 years ago. Why not allocate that program? And if it's a Title IX issue, you can somebody to play beach volleyball for girls, whatever. The point is that he's going to get a lot of autonomy. He's going to get an opportunity to rebuild the program structurally in his image and how he sees the college basketball, college football, college baseball landscape changing over the next 5, 10, 15 years. We're not going to be able to do things the way we've always done it. We're not. So the other thing about hiring an AD is, are you going to hire somebody that's going to come in here with the energy, the connections, and the will, the grit to change the way that we fundamentally approach athletics at U? And I think Nico is that guy. We've had plenty of conversations on the road at football games, at old Mid-City Smokehouse. We've had those conversations where he says we need to fundamentally change the way that we approach sports in this town. That's another huge reason why I want Nico.
Yeah, and apologies. I got Heath Troyer and Ben Broussard confused. Ben is actually the one who went to Acadiana High, so he's the local guy that went to school in Lafayette. Heath was at McNeese, of course, so I got that confused with him being from Lafayette. But either way, Ben Broussard, I think, is probably somebody that his agent will probably reach out, if anything, to come back home from NC State. Somebody else mentioned Chase Conk at UTRGV, who you've seen what they've done as far as having an exciting atmosphere at their sporting events. Whether or not that's his doing, it's under his leadership, so you got to give him some credit there, getting guys in that area fired up. But it's going to be, I don't know how long this is going to take, boys. This might take longer than we think. We'll see how it plays out. I think the longer it goes, the more you point to Heath Troyer being the guy, because I think he's solely responsible for the basketball deal there, and he's got to see that through. So I think, if anything, you're going to see, if this drags out, lean more towards him. But it's not the greatest time for this to all be happening because of the fact that we start football in 50 somewhat days, and we have a razor thin crew, and we don't have guys, the guys who do the ticketing. The head ticketing guy, Ben Doming, he's gone. The guy who I call him the John Duga, who ran game day operations, he's gone. Again, we have nobody there, and we have an interim athletic director that, let's be frank, never hear from the guy as our CAF director. Are we going to hear or see much from him when he's interim? And what is he going to do? And what kind of effect will he have on things? So again, this is a transitional period, and I'm with you, Josh. I don't think it's all a bad thing. I think this is one of the pains that we have to go through, because we couldn't. It's like the Saints, right? The Saints knew that that this would all blow up at some point. It came to a head. It all blew up. We were terrible for a couple of seasons, but now we're kind of pulling our way out of it with some younger players. I think the Cajuns are kind of going through the same thing as an athletic program and a university. We knew this was coming. We knew it would be hard. We knew we'd be embarrassed by some of the things that came out. Now that it's all out there, let's get through it. Let's put our nose down, be fans, enjoy what we can, and just understand I think the fan experience is going to suffer this year, but these guys are working hard, and they're trying. And, I think I might be a little bit more lenient on some of the things that might not go as well as we like it from a game day standpoint. But then again, may all be great. Let's hope it is. Let's just hope, winning cures a lot when it comes to all that stuff. So if we win on the field, it's going to be a great football season for all of us involved. All right, let's now move on to baseball content, because I think we talked about the AD situation long enough. We'll see how. Go ahead, Josh. I'll let you wrap it up.
Well, listen, I'm going to sign off. I'm going to let you guys do your show. I appreciate the opportunity to be on your show. It's a fine show, has been for a long time. But I'm going to let you guys talk baseball. I was just here to gloat a little bit. But Cam and I are going to sign off. I had Cam with me. She wanted to jump on the show for old time's sake. Sporting that snazzy old time retro USL jersey, looking good, looking awesome.
Yeah, some
but
stupid
listen,
tech guy was like, identity crisis because we wear the USL stuff. It's like, no, bro, there's no identity crisis here. It's called throwbacks.
When tech people speak, best thing you can do is ignore. But hey, I want to give a shout out to the 12U crew team who just are national champions in travel ball soccer. Well, it's not technically travel ball. I don't even know how you would describe it. It's a club in Youngsville, out of Youngsville, Lafayette area. National champions, went to Utah, Salt Lake City, Utah, and won the national championship. So going back to the soccer comment, like the talent is here. I just wanted to say that. The other thing is that Jared asked a question about timeline. We got to wrap up this AD thing like right now, because number one, some of the names being thrown out, not good. We do not need to entertain some of the names that are coming out. Would be an absolute disaster. I don't care how broke we are. You got to find a way.
Yeah,
you've got to find a way. I think Ramesh will do the right thing, and hopefully, whoever's leading the search party or whatever it is, that if they hired somebody, whatever, we got to get this thing wrapped up. I'd like to see it done in 60 days. Jared is what I would say. 60 days. That's 2 months to interview. Identify 2 or 3 candidates and get them in the building. Nico should already be here. His house should already be purchased. We should be purchasing his house. He shouldn't have to worry about a house. That's how we should do it. We should go about doing this. But, and then the current leadership, your skeleton crew, and then the guy who's leading it. Look, I'm not going to say what I want to say. I know y'all are trying to be good these days, so I'll bow out with that. Thanks for allowing me on the show. It's been great. Good luck to Maggard, but I think we got a great opportunity to make this program rocket here in the next couple of years if we make the right hire on this one. So take it easy, boys.
Always good seeing you, Josh. Thanks a lot, man. Always entertaining to have him. He didn't go into man about town mode, so we were safe for that. But he had some great points as always. So always good hearing from Josh. Last thing I want to say, the Sunbelt Conference has a national championship soccer team. It's one of the better, if not the best, conference for soccer in all of D1 college. So, Douglas, you don't know what you're talking about. We need men's soccer. That would be awesome.
Men's soccer would be awesome here.
It'd be awesome.
And what people don't understand,
championship. Are you kidding me?
And there's an underground culture in this area that with soccer. If you look around and you look at, I have a ton of friends that play pickup games, and Lafayette High, Acadiana, Carencro all have good soccer programs there. Southside, I think their soccer team's not too bad.
STM, Turlings, keep it going, Turlings, dude. Yeah. There is a good root of culture in South Louisiana in terms of soccer. It would work here. It absolutely would.
Juanis needs to stick to texting future AD candidates instead of worrying about us. All right, boys. Again, let's get into the baseball content. Jerry, a lot of information coming out of that baseball luncheon you were able to attend, and a lot of exciting stuff coming up, and some head scratchers. So I'll turn the floor over to you. Tell us what you heard at this luncheon, because again, there's a lot of really, really cool stuff coming out of that luncheon for baseball this week.
Yeah, first of all, shout out to Ken Myers for putting this together. This whole entire event was amazing. They had a podium. They had, it looked like a press conference rather than just a regular luncheon. 2 years ago, I think they did one of their first luncheons that were like this, where Coach Deggs had to basically explain the entire time why it's important to give and all this stuff with the new NIL and Cajun's Edge mantra and just this whole entire concept that's still fairly new. But this time, riding the wave of the final third of the season where we made a run, got back into the top 25, made a run in the conference tournament in Montgomery, and then had a decent showing in Starkville, and then find out that most of the brunt of our team's coming back, and then going get guys from other places that are going to add to even more talent to what we have. It was a perfect storm of excitement for fans, and this was the perfect storm to create, or a perfect time to create momentum or an event to capture the momentum. And so I want to say about 200 people attended or something like that, or they were invited, but there were a lot of people there. Basically the whole entire baseball team was there. A few didn't make it because they were either on the road playing summer ball, or one or two weren't feeling well. But for the most part, I got to talk to quite a few of the players, got to meet some of the new players who were very excited to be here, met two of the Marshall pitchers that they're very happy to be here. And the one thing that got me excited in all of it is the fact that the players, the newcomers, have acclimated themselves with the team from last year. And the team from last year have taken these guys in. Workouts, they've kind of become a close-knit group. That's one thing that a few of the guys had said at the luncheon yesterday. They haven't seen a close-knit group like this in a long time, as far as a roster goes. And so, I'm kind of scratching the surface here, but I guess I'll say some things that really stuck out to me in this luncheon. One, we talked about the fences. The fences are coming in. They're going to come in 5 feet on the foul lines. They're going to come in 5 feet in the alleyway. Center field's going to be 390. Okay. We're getting a brand new digital scoreboard. That's confirmed. And then I believe Coach Deggs mentioned how he wants to do the party deck. I know we've talked about that a little bit. I believe I forgot where exactly, but I mean, that would be huge to add into the outfield on top of the clubhouse. The clubhouse, I mean, they're very, very close in finalizing everything and starting this project. They just have to get their finances in order. Schedule-wise, we have 34 home games. 18 are on the road and 4 are neutral. The games that are neutral are going to include the Houston trip, and we're playing in Pensacola in a midweek against Kentucky, which I think is a great midweek game.
That is kind of cool. And in Pensacola.
I don't know if it's a Tuesday or Wednesday night game. We go to Baton Rouge to play LSU. I think we go to McNeese. I'd have to look it up. I know we posted it. And I think we go to Rice again to Houston for a midweek trip, just like last year. The midweek home games are going to be your typical Southeastern, I believe. I think we play Southern at home.
I don't think we play Southeastern this year. I didn't see that.
We do. Yeah, I think we play Southeastern this year. I don't know. We might play UNO. Your typical in-state teams. I don't want to name them all. Some key games we play. I'm trying to think. We play 5 and 5. I think 5 on the road, 5 at home. Now the road stretch is going to be a little challenging. We go to Marshall. We go to Southern Miss. We go to Coastal. I'm going to have to look up the rest. And then at home, the 3 non-conference series include Missouri State, Oakland from Michigan, and North Dakota State. So those are going to be a 3 non-conference. So Missouri State's coming back. And then I think we play ULM. Louisiana Tech comes to the Teague next year for a weekend series. Without looking, I think one of the Georgia schools, I believe. And without even looking, I'm sorry, guys, I didn't prepare as well for the schedule, but it's a good schedule. Cole, KG, do you have it?
Yeah, I got it up right here. Okay, at home, you're going to have Missouri State, North Dakota State, and Oakland in your non-conference home games. Your home conference, the home conference slate is going to be App, Troy, Louisiana Tech, ODU, and Arkansas State. Our road conference games are going to include going to South Al, ULM, Southern Miss, Coastal, and Marshall. You will have a midweek at LSU. You said that already. And let's see. We're going to Pensacola to play Kentucky, and your Houston weekend is going to consist of UConn, Texas A&M, and Utah.
Yeah. Yes. And just FYI, now we're going to have a tough stretch, okay? We go, I don't know if it's either vice versa or either or, but we go between the Southern Miss and Coastal series, which are both on the road, we go to Baton Rouge. So that 7-game stretch, we're going to see how much talent we have, and especially considering the fact I think it's towards the end of the year. It's not going to be in April. I think it's going to be in May, towards the later half of the season. So that's going to be challenging, but I like the schedule. I think it's a great schedule. I think it's exactly what the doctor ordered. 34 home games. The neutral game sites are going to be great. Also, I want to mention one thing that they did mention yesterday was scholarships. Now, this is very important, okay? And I was given permission by somebody on the baseball team to say this. So we talk about NIL, we talk about Cajun's Edge, we talk about paying players. If you take the combination of scholarship money, right? This past season was the first season where the NCAA allowed for 34 full scholarships for baseball compared to the 11.7 that we've historically had. Because of the budget crisis at UL went with the 11.7 scholarships last year when they could have had 34. The problem there, the issue I take in that is the fact that because we didn't have money, there are other schools in the conference that fund the 34 full scholarships for their baseball teams, which gives us a competitive disadvantage. Which actually, if you combine our scholarship money with our Cajun's Edge NIL money, we're 12th out of 14 schools in the Sun Belt. And if you see what we did with that last year, that's pretty damn impressive, right? So what I will tell all of the fans listening, whether it's NIL, Cajun's Edge, I know you don't like it, but there is an opportunity, and I would contact the right people with whether it's baseball or RCAF or the athletic department. If you want to help do something for scholarships, I think you can. I think there's a philanthropic donation you can make to help fund scholarships. I want to say that we went from 11.7 to I believe 17 scholarships. So there are about 4 or 5 scholarships that came in from donated money. And Coach Deggs said that the scholarship money averages around $40,000 per scholarship. So there's a lot of players on our team that contribute tremendously that are pretty much paying for their own room and board and books and tuition because they don't have the scholarship money. So if anybody is looking to give, if you don't like NIL, if you don't like Cajun's Edge and you don't feel, I don't want to pay players, that avenue of scholarships, that I would say would be a good avenue as an option if you do want to help the program in some kind of way outside of the Diamond Club and things like that. So that was a big caveat that I don't think that many people talk about, especially you don't want to say it out loud because you don't want it to be a competitive disadvantage when it comes to recruiting. But I do think now the coaches are pretty adamant, especially with the type of team we've built going into 27. If you want to keep some of these guys longer than just next year, then, helping with scholarship money could go a long way. Also, too, and I don't want to jump the gun and say that this is going to happen, but I do have a few friends that have gotten together and want to have like socials with somebody from the baseball program and see where that goes. So there's a bunch of things we're throwing out there to help the baseball program, to raise money. And every little thing counts, whether it's a small donation, helping, going to the games. I mean, look, Colt, you're a huge member of Section A. You guys do more than enough to support the program. I feel like baseball, guys, is the one sport at UL that has figured it out on how to get the fan interaction, the fan involvement, and the fans wanting to help, whether it's give money, go to the games, support the program, and they're doing it right. And having that event yesterday confirmed that for me. Coach Deggs, Coach Tibb, the players, Bab, they all felt very grateful for the way the fans stepped up after this season, especially bringing in, look, Manny Salas. When Manny Salas went in the portal, funny story, he goes in the portal, the coaches look at him and go, oh, he's going to Texas, he's going to Texas A&M, he's going somewhere in Texas, he's not coming here. And one of our guys reached out to him and said, hey, you want to be a Cajun? He goes, let's talk. Just like that. Just like that. There's something about this place, guys. I mean, hearing some of these stories about these players coming here, then you've got the Marshall pitchers. It's the obvious. They want to play for Sandy. They want to play for Sandy. They're excited because they feel that they can rehab their careers here with Sandy. I mean, there were so many cool tidbits we've learned yesterday that really makes this place special. And one thing Coach Deggs really did emphasize was we don't have the money that a lot of schools have, but it's us, the culture, it's the fans, it's the ambiance, the history of this program, the specialty, the special feeling of this program that wants these players to stay. Colt, they straight up said about Colt, he wants to stay. He doesn't want to go anywhere. You know, I mean, you hear those things. Coach Deggs made a comment about Colt hitting a home run against Mississippi State. He looks at Tib and goes, "Oh, that's $1 million swing right there. Somebody's going to offer him. He's still here." So, and then plus it's probably, we treat these players pretty well. So, feed
well, I think
them
we
and,
need, the whole, what also helps, especially with somebody like Simo. I mean, he met a Cajun girl, and he's in Lafayette forever. Like until he goes pro, he ain't leaving Lafayette. We need some of these more Cajun girls to keep these guys around. I'm good with that, man.
And also, Simo's going to be starting to throw next week.
Yeah.
He's going to be throwing next week, and I talked to him. He's fired up. Nick, he asked about you, and I'm
sorry about that.
Yeah, he asked about you, and I was like, well, Nick's Nick, Oh, yeah, but I'm glad Salty Cajun brought that up, and that's one thing we forgot with the midweeks. Yes, Kansas State's coming back, and then we've got Josh. I know Josh just left, but West Florida.
Oh, dude, he's going to be so fired up for that.
He's going to be at the tee at like 5 o'clock for
he might be wearing their gear at that game, man.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah. So we've got to look Jacksonville. I mean, we got some good teams on the schedule, but yeah, just to kind of reiterate, it was a great meeting. I'm assuming they'll probably do more, but everybody's locked in. Fans are locked in. The program's locked in. The players are locked in. The coaches are locked in. And one thing that Coach Deggs told the team last year was, because of the way NIL works in the portal and all that, he said, let's lock in for the next 10 months. Don't worry about anything past the 10 months. Let's just focus starting in August, right now, 10 months, and just give me all you got. After that, we'll worry about the rest. And then they did what they did last year, and now this year it's same thing. We're locked in for 27. I joked with some of the players. I told them, I said, I went to Disney World in June, and we usually take a June trip. I told him, I told my wife we were keeping the calendar open next year for June, and they kind of like that. So I know there's a lot of expectation, but the meeting was professionally done. Again, it looked like a press conference more than it did the way they had the tables and chairs set up. Shout out to Bonton Grill for their catering. The food was great. We got some sandwiches and had some crawtator chips, so it was pretty laid back, but overall a great meeting. And any way that Cajun Nation can help with baseball, feel free. I mean, guys, this is really
land the plane, Jerry.
This is the first time I've seen a good grassroots effort. So just wanted to, I know I've gone long. I feel like Dore just now. KD tends to do that sometimes with baseball, and I'm in that groove right now.
Land the plane, Jerry.
it was very good, guys. It was very good. Anyway.
All right. KG, well, no, I'm going to go to you, Mike, first, because first of all, welcome. We didn't tell you welcome at the beginning because Josh joined us, but thank you for coming because I know you're pumped up to talk about baseball. So my first question is, what are you most excited about for everything that you just heard?
Definitely the portal guys that are coming in. I think there's a lot of momentum going into next season, obviously what they've done last year, but I think we're in a better position going into next season than we were going into last season. I think our freshmen are getting that year under their belt. They're getting more mature. They're going to get stronger, faster. I think the portal guys are more older, more mature, ready to play. Look, all these guys coming in, transferring, they're not transferring to ride the pine. They are transferring to stay. They want to play. They know what it's like Friday nights at the tee. And a funny story, I was talking to Kale Pisano from Oregon, and I was talking to him. I said, you're going to have to battle it out with Manny. And he goes, I know. He goes, I'm ready to compete. I'm ready to battle against him. And he said, the perfect answer, he goes, I don't want to be given the position. I want to earn it. And I was like, man, that is the perfect answer I wanted to hear. So look, this might be the most competitive fall that we've seen in a while. We have a lot of depth position-wise. We're going to have depth on the mound. These guys are going to be older, more mature. They've got innings under their belt now. The schedule is definitely set up for the postseason. If we handle that is a tough road schedule. If we're being really honest, that is a brutal road schedule. 3 SECs, you got K-State at home. The Houston tournament, that's going to be fun. I know it's fun for the fans, but they need to handle business because the last time we were in Houston, it was not good. So they really need to handle business on the road. That is going to be tough. We got Southern Miss, Coastal on the road, LSU on the road. Kentucky on the road. I know it's a neutral site, but it's still on the road. A&M. So that's going to be a tough schedule. I think if we really handle business at home and on the road, we could possibly see a regional host. But also, if we don't go that far, it is strong enough. Obviously, it's strong enough to make that regional, but we still have to handle business. We got to stay healthy. We have to produce on the field. The good thing is that if somebody goes down, these guys that are backups are potentially starters anywhere else. So we have a lot of depth. These guys want to play. Talking to Jeremy, a transfer that's coming in, and he said, if I want to prolong my career, I need to move to the outfield. And to me, that's saying he's going to compete for a starting role. I know we got Mark Collins, Noah, and Donnie LaSalle, but Jeremy wants to start. He wants to play in that outfield. So it's going to be brutal all season. These guys are going to compete, but it looks like a healthy competition. These guys are all really good friends, it seems like. Got to talk to the Marshall pitchers. Griff, 100% became because of Sandy. These pitchers that came from Marshall, they didn't come for Diggs. They came for Sandy, and he told me that. And Griff said he's 100% healthy. That's a guy that I'm kind of have an eye on. I think he's I think could possibly flirt with that weekend rotation. What we're seeing is a lot of talent coming in. I think we're going to have power on the right side of the field. Micah Kendricks on the second base. They're going to have a couple, 3 or 4 guys competing for second base. We're going to have power at first base with Manny and Kale. Either one, if one's not at first, potential DH. So a lot of positives. I think we're in a better position going forward into next year. I'm excited about it. I love the schedule. Been looking at it ever since Jerry said, send us all the information. Jerry came in real big clutch today. The schedule's awesome. I like it. It's really tough. But look, if you want to be the best, you got to play with the best. You know, I like schedules like that. I like playing big dogs. Overall, I'm happy with what's coming in. I love the schedule.
KG, there's one thing I got to ask you that bothers me the most, I think, out of everything going on that was announced, is the Shaws for a Dominican Republic trip. So apparently we want to take a trip to the Dominican, and I'm assuming it's like one of those things. Back in 1998, we hosted a team from Japan. In fact, we hosted them a couple of times. But they came here, and it was really cool to play a team from Japan and just to see their dedication. It was insane the amount of practice they did. And they did simultaneously, they had 2 BPs going on at the same time. So they had 2 cages set up and 2 pitchers and 2 hitters. And they were just at the same time taking BP. It was insane to watch them practice. So going to the Dominican, I understand that, but we're talking about to the tune of like $70,000 to get us there. I think it'll be a great experience, but at the same time, it's like, shoot, can we just like go to Panama City, play a tournament there, or I don't know, host a team it'll cost you a little bit. Get Alabama back. It won't cost you $70,000 to get them to come do a home series at the Teague. So I don't know. It's not saying I disagree with it, but just the thought of going to the Dominican and maybe doing one of these exhibition kind of things. I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, if we take money out of it, let's start with that conversation.
If we take money out of it, it'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah, let's take the $70,000 out of it. I think the goal, of course, would be for it to be a team bonding experience, right? You want to take the entire team to Dominican or whoever, I'm sure there would have to be some sort of a roster that would be allowed to go. And, but bottom line, you go and you want it to be a team bonding experience. And I think the overall goal of that experience would be to go there and see how they live. The Dominican is known as a baseball powerhouse. They live, breathe, eat baseball. So I think the goal would be to go there and just see how they live, how they prepare, how they approach the game, because the North American game is a lot different, right? We love baseball. We do. We practice anywhere between 4 to 5 hours on a day, especially if you're a college athlete like you live. But going to the Dominican, these are people that literally wake up. There's baseball academies in the Dominican where you wake up in the morning, you put your uniform on, you strap those cleats up, and you're doing baseball from 8 in the morning to freaking to you don't even have, because they don't have lights. Like, you basically playing until the sun goes down. So that's the lifestyle I think that this trip you would benefit off of. You just get kind of this culture shock of how you should play the game and what it takes to, they used to call it, you can't walk off the island, right? The Dominican Republic. That's the old saying. You can't walk off the island. If you're going to be a baseball player, you got to learn to hit. You got to learn to pitch. You got to find your way off the island through the sport. That's the old saying. So I think the trip obviously would benefit from a team bonding and a culture shock of baseball. But the problem is now let's bring the money into it, 70 grand. And you're talking about 70 grand in an athletic department that's already strapped for money. But I don't get the sense that this would go through the athletic department. This is something that might have to be self-raised and self-funded. Which, listen, I tell you what, if you find enough people that believe in the message and believe in maybe, making that trip and what it can do for our program, I mean, maybe there's an outside shot of raising that money. I'm just going to say this. Section A is a bunch of guys that show up with our ice chest full of beer. We got cold steaks or cold pork steaks or, rice and gravy jambalaya, whatever you want to call it. We just want to throw stuff in a black pot and treat you. If you're going to come to, Section A asking for thousands of dollars, I'm going to put my hands up and say we ain't got it for you. We know how to take care of you in other ways. But my greatest thing, if we're trying to raise 70 grand, all I would say is find somebody that you like in the Diamond Club and get buddy with them. Because, if you're trying to do this from a grassroots standpoint, like a cooking club or a Section A, or, the average, not the average, but the lower level Cajun fan that still loves this team but might not be financially sound, that's not where it's going to start. You kind of have to find that middle ground and work up. I would say you're going to have to just find somebody that can fund this from somebody comfortable in a Diamond Club or, somewhere similar to that. But no, Nick, I mean, I love the idea of being able to make that trip. I don't see any negatives of it other than the price tag of getting there. I mean, it would be a tremendous opportunity. It's just, can you afford it? And I don't want to call it a pipe dream. It's going to take a lot to get there. Somebody's going to have to foot a bill. That's the reality of it.
Is it bad that I thought the Dominican Republic was in like South America? I didn't even know it was by Puerto Rico, bro. And then I'm looking at it, I'm like, Curacao is right there too. And look, Trinidad and Tobago, I hear about them all the time. I thought that was like by Australia. That shows us right there. That's crazy.
Nick, 1 second. Look, I put it on the screen. Shout out to Nicole Trosclair, general manager of Legends South. Ever since we gave her the shout out on the show a couple of weeks ago, that's kind of been going around the Legends general managers and the management team. Nicole's birthday is actually this weekend. Happy birthday, Nicole. Thank you for tuning in. And there is a chance we will be at Legends South this weekend, Mike, doing a pool tournament Saturday night for a boys' night. So we're going to have a good time. But Nicole, happy birthday from the Rage and Review crew.
Happy birthday indeed. We love our Legends folks. They're all awesome. We have our favorite bartenders and everything, but as a whole, we love all of Legends. It's a lot of fun. Yeah, so that was something interesting, and we're still talking about the moving the fences in, and at this time I'm tired of hearing about it. But the one thing I did want to bring up again, because you mentioned it earlier, was about the party seating, the patio, whatever you want to call it, the party deck. And I think that what's so great about the Mississippi State, I think the way that they have it set up there, if I'm not mistaken, it's kind of a fan-friendly thing. And they're in talks to potentially start making that a lot more expensive for people to have access to. And that's something that they're concerned about, is that they got to pay all this NIL stuff, and now they're going to have to raise prices on something that was a fan-friendly kind of event for every single game. So I'm with you. I think it's really important, again, when you look at Coach Robichaux, and I get that he wasn't a part of the NIL era, but at the same time, the man built the stadium for the fans. Everything that was done in the stadium and having the weird seating where you could see the concession stand from the center field camera, all of that was done so that the fans never miss a pitch, no matter where they are in the stadium. And so you want to hold on to what was the initial purpose of all of this was for the fans. And I think the patio decks, KG, have to go along with that same line of thinking, is that this has to be fan friendly. It has to be accessible by the common fan. We really can't, we can't screw that up when it comes to revenue generating. That should be something that stays fan friendly.
No, 100%, Nick. I'm with you, because could you imagine a world, and I'm going to use Mississippi State as the template, if you go the corporate route, yeah, sure, you can probably find a corporation to buy up all of that seating in those boxes or whatnot, and you'll make the money, but from a game-to-game standpoint, those boxes and those seats will be empty. As it stands, because it's fan-friendly, that is full every game, and it's become its own thing. It's a seven wonder of college baseball. It's an absolute madhouse out there. And that's the fine line. Like, yeah, there is money to be made in the Partio, and I love the name, by the way, Partio. That's badass.
Thank you.
Yeah, I like that. But there's money to be made because in reality, it is a premium seat, like a Crawford box, right? Like the Crawford boxes in Houston, right? In reality, you want that to be a fan-friendly place to go out and sit because it's in the outfield. You should think it'd be affordable, but it is considered premier seating, right? You have to pay to get to that spot. I just hope that there's a fine line between both. If you want to, it's going to be very hard to find a middle ground. If you had to lean one way or the other, I hope it's going to be fan-friendly, just because you want the environment in that patio, the Partio, to be rowdy. You want it to make a difference in a ball game. If you're going to make it corporate to where you're just selling it to corporations that everybody, the only time people are going to show up are to big games, like maybe if we play a Southern Miss or a Coastal, or if we so happen to get LSU at home every third or fourth year, well, then what's the point of even building this deck? You're almost wasting money building the deck. If you're not going to make it fan-friendly, don't build the deck. Because, and me and Mike joked about this, we've had several conversations on the back patio, whether it be at RSB, whether it be at Barbank's Bar and Grill, whether it be here on my back patio. What I would love to see, and I love using Mississippi State as the template, obviously because we just came from there a couple months ago. If you look, you see barbecue pits as far as the eye can see. Quite literally, there are hundreds, if not thousands, of barbecue pits that fill up that entire outfield wall in Starkville. It's quite impressive. And if you're going to make a Cajun version of that, screw the barbecue pits. I want burners. I want black pots. I want Magnolites. I want a guy like Donnie LaSalle to hit a ball over the wall that lands in somebody's stew, somebody's roux. Right? Like, that's what I want. So I see the vision. It's just the vision can only come true if you make that seating fan-friendly. And lastly, Nick, I was the biggest one that had an issue with moving the walls up. I'm sure you were going to get to that in a second. But
no, I'm over it. I don't want to talk about the stupid walls anymore.
Well, but it goes hand in hand. I was the biggest one that had a gripe with moving the walls up. It's because the historic nature of Cajuns baseball, right? We are known for our pitching staffs year in and year out. Tony Robichaux built that, and we're proud to be, this baseball team. It's built on pitching. Everything we do is built on pitching. Now we've had some great hitters come through the program, but my biggest gripe was that if you move this wall up, you start playing into the hands of the rest of the Sun Belt Conference. And you guys know this. Listen, all four of us, our favorite sport is Cajuns baseball. And we pay attention more to Cajuns baseball than anybody else. We know that when any Sun Belt school comes to this university, they have a very hard time winning here. And it's because the Teague plays large. And we have a pitching staff that knows how to pitch in our own ballpark, and it's a competitive advantage. It is. So moving the fences up, you're kind of giving the Sun Belt back a little bit of leeway there. Now, at the same time, yes, it means that we're going to hit more home runs, especially in the upcoming years. We're going to have a loaded offense next year. I think it's going to be a night and day difference next year with our offense. I think this year, we were hitting maybe 260, 265 to finish the year. This offense is going to be pushing the 300 batting average by the end. This offense is going to be a night and day from what we saw this past year. And, the home runs will come, with the fences moving in. The good thing I like about it is that, 5 feet, I was kind of hoping we would have left the poles alone. 330 is a respectable distance, but now I'm going to get to the renovation side of things, Nick. If you're looking to build a party deck, if you're looking to build a clubhouse, and you need that room, the pole probably did have to come in anyway. Now, Are you going to bring the pole in and maybe go up a couple of feet with the wall? I would like to see that. I think right now we have 8-foot walls, if I'm not mistaken. I would like to see us go to maybe 10. But then again, that would require paying for an entire new outfield wall. So I get that there's cost in all of this. Now here's the good news. UL, the wind's still going to blow in most games, or it's either going to blow in to home plate or across, right? Across from the scoreboard, going out into the parking lot. So now it's going to go from being a pitcher-friendly ballpark to probably playing more close to balanced. So I'm not overly pissed off about it. I get that there's some logistics. From a fan standpoint, if you want the party deck, if you want this nice clubhouse, things have to change, walls have to move, things have to get done. The only thing I'm going to beg and plead, and I don't think it's ever going to happen, and I hope it never happens, is that we touch these pine trees. Please do not touch these pine trees. That is as iconic to MLT as it is to this entire stadium. It just adds a phenomenal ambiance to it. If we have any project that requires cutting down or doing anything with the pine trees, then we need to have a realistic conversation, Nick. But no, I mean, I'll put my hand up. I said it earlier when I started this little rant. I was the one that pushed back the hardest on it. I have completely softened up to that. And it's because of the trip to Starkville. It really is. That outfield experience at Starkville really made me realize what we could also have in Lafayette. Because I tell you what, Nick, if you give me a patio deck in the outfield where you allow fans to bring burners and beer, and by the way, those little handheld ice chests where you can bring a 6-pack in for free, there's a lot of potential with that as well. I'm going to tell you, and we told Brian Maggard, which he's not here anymore, we told Brian Maggard and Dr. Ramesh that to their faces because they sat in the grandstand with us. We said, there is a potential for you. Listen, even if you charge like a $5 or $10 ice chest fee at the gate, hey, you want to bring in that ice chest, that little handheld, 12 beer ice chest is going to cost you. There's dollars to be made on top of that as well. So anyway, I'm excited for the future. Obviously, I'm excited about this roster. Mike already talked about that. Me and Mike have been blessed to meet a lot of the transfers and to get to know Colt Brown well over the last couple months. Man, all of these guys that have transferred in, they fit into this ball club really well. They come here with something to prove. They come here ready to take the reins and take a role. And I'll be honest with you, I can see 40 wins happening as a baseline. I can see this as a 40-win team. But I know the goal of this team, especially from Colt Brown, the horse's mouth. I'm gonna tell you this: their goal is to host a regional this year. They want to host a regional. Now, I don't know what win total would have to happen to get us there, but I know their goal is not just to win 40 games. It's not just to win the Sun Belt. It's to host a regional in Lafayette, Louisiana, in this ballpark. And I mean, how could you not get excited about that as a diehard fan?
I am. Look, I'm excited. You took my partio. I mean, I kind of like that. Think about it. Cajun's partio decks available during the games. That'd be awesome. I know some people in the administration watching right now. I am trademarking that. We'll put my name on it. And so the use of partio is, I charge a fee for that. You might not charge a fee for that, but I charge it. Partio, baby.
Nick, if you want to go corporate with it, how about like the Legends Lounge or the Adopted Dog Deck? Sell the right,
partio, baby.
No. I'm saying, or that. What I'm saying is sell the right to the deck, but don't actually sell the individual ticket as a premium. Let the fans go and do like what I'm saying. Like I said, like a Legends Lounge or a Rage and Review, whatever. We could come up with something. I'm just saying.
To look like Mississippi State when all those people were rushing in and we're trying to hold them back and all that stuff. That's what I want that partio deck to look like. I want it to be that exclusive, right, Mike?
Man, I want like a real authentic student section. I want these guys to. I would like the students to be in that partio section, and like I like the Ole Miss. I like the beer showers. We need to have a section that is completely rowdy. I don't want it to be premium. I don't want it to be corporate. I want that section to be your basic crazy fans, your Section A type of guys, or a student section. I really, really think we should have a designated student section. But man, I just don't want that party deck to be corporate.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. But hey, if they pay for us to get in there, I'm willing to make that a little bit corporate if we have to, right? Not terrible. Boys, it's been a lot of fun talking about baseball. You know, we do have to get into football season, and we're not going to do that tonight. That was a plan originally before the news broke about Dr. Maggard leaving. So next week, we will have position breakdowns on the offensive side of the ball. We'll go unit by unit, talk about quarterbacks and tight ends and offensive lines and what we have to look forward to. Did get some kind of insider info on a couple of players from the coaching staff, so look forward to sharing who they think are going to be breakout players in 2026 and what to look out for. But guys, especially with a new athletic director coming in that will not have ties to the program in the sense of they didn't hire any of these coaches, I feel like leashes are going to be a lot shorter. And when you look at what we've done the last few years, and really last year, I feel like we underachieved big time in football. How much longer are we going to allow this to go on? Where, again, 6 and 7 seasons, how many of those can you survive in a world of NIL and instant gratification and needing to separate ourselves from the rest of the G6? So that'll be a conversation for next week, but look forward to starting to get into football. Baseball's so exciting right now. We could keep talking about it, I think, every episode until the spring, but we do have to turn to football season soon enough, boys. All right, now it's time for Gourmets, brought to you by Lafayette Travel and Eat Lafayette, boys. With hurricanes, tropical storm, depression, whatever that Bertha thing was, that we got like a couple of showers and I think a branch fell off my pine tree at my parents' house. But, you know, we talked about some of our favorite snacks for hurricane season. But I'm curious to know, what hurricane snacks do you guys have that is your go-to first thing that you're going to hit during a hurricane, and that you probably won't ever eat again until another hurricane comes? Mine are Funyuns, man. I don't know what it is about hurricanes and Funyuns, but that is the first thing. I mean, as soon as you get winds over like 5 miles an hour, I'm starting with the Funyuns, and I'll knock that out first thing. I never eat that ever again. But every hurricane is Funyuns. I don't know if it's a childhood thing. Jerry, is there anything that you like hit first during a hurricane and kind of, you know, destroy right off the bat, and you never eat again the rest of like the year?
Honestly, not really, man, because growing up in New Orleans, we always evacuated. So we never
you
really
eat the
stayed.
Vienna sausages all the time is what you're telling me.
No, we never really stayed. So like wherever we go, we'd eat there. I mean, if I had a snack per se for something like that, like I've ridden on tropical storms here. I'd probably just, Kayla and I would share a thing of popcorn. That's what we were doing, and hopefully not lose power, or we'd put it on KTC to see what the weather's doing. I mean, that's pretty much it. Popcorn kind of calms us a little bit in situations like that. I remember when Laura hit Lake Charles, and even here, like, we got some significant wind. I don't even remember eating popcorn that night. It was more or less, hey, let's go sleep in the closet in case one of the pine trees falls in our house. But yeah, I mean,
it got dark. We're just talking about snacks, bro.
It's true. Well, I mean, it's hurricanes. I would say probably popcorn would be my go-to. It calms me, you know.
My man going to the movies, eating some popcorn.
That's right.
Mike, what about you? Is there anything that you eat and you never eat again?
Well, I instantly want to say Michelob, right? Because I think every Southerner knows that when a hurricane comes, your ice chest and your refrigerator better be stocked up with beer. Because as the northern people freak out, we drink during hurricanes. But snack wise, man, it's either chips or candy. It's one of those. I'm a big candy guy, so I definitely have candy in the house during a hurricane, or a really big bag of chips that easily destroy in one night.
And my family would also play cards. As soon as the lights went out, it was time for some Blu-ray playing, right?
Oh, yeah.
Or Cadillac, so that's good stuff. What about you, Cole? What is your thoughts on, as far as snacks go, snacking during hurricanes? Any treats that you enjoy during just hurricane season?
Well, you already mentioned my first one earlier. I guess I'm the old Cajun head on this crew. Yeah, it's Vienna sausages. Give me any flavor, any size, any can, baby. When the hurricanes come around, if you pop open a can of Vienna sausages, you best run away, because I'm gonna get some. Even if you give me some bread, I'll put on some bread and eat that like a sandwich. The barbecue, fire. We used to go duck hunting in Henry, when I was a little boy, my daddy used to stock me with like 4 cans of Vienna sausage. He would give me 2 of the original and 2 of the barbecue, and that would be gone by the time that the sun came up, cat. That was my breakfast for like years and years and years. My second answer is going to be pickled okra. Pickled okra, especially when the electricity goes out, when you gotta eat it because it might get hot, especially because you keep it in the fridge. Boy, if you give me the freaking jar, my hand's gonna be in there like it's popcorn. I'm gonna be eating pickled okra by the handfuls, cat. That's my go-to. But yeah, Vienna sausage and pickled okra, and we call it a day. And Mike is right. And my ice chest will be full of some sort of cold beer, more than likely a natural light. But those are my answers.
Dude, I think this is the first time in the 8 or 9 years I've been on Rager Review where I've actually felt culture shocked by somebody who's Cajun, even though I'm Cajun myself. Pickled okra. I've never. That's new to me. I've never heard that before. Pickled okra. Wow.
Oh yeah.
But I'm curious as to why they call it Vienna sausages. Are the sausages from Vienna? Like, are they from Austria, or is that the kind of sausage they eat in Vienna? That's kind of confusing me.
So you know how they make hot dogs, Nick? You know how they make hot dogs with the leftover meats, right? Yeah. I think the Vienna sausages are leftover meat from the hot dog meat that didn't even go into the hot dog meat. That's what the Vienna sausage. But guess what? If you dip it into, I'm gonna eat it. I promise you.
I mean, still not better than Lucky Dogs. But you're also not being served those Lucky Dogs by a homeless person because that's what they hire to serve them. I think that's what the grossest thing about Lucky Dogs is that the hot dogs aren't bad, but the person's giving it to you, like, they're smoking there, their ashes are going all over the cart, and here's a hot dog. Just not my thing.
Nick, I got a 1B. I can't believe I forgot this one. Besides popcorn, is beef jerky. I usually get a big thing of beef. I've done a big thing of beef jerky. That's always a good one too.
Oh yeah, that stays stocked in my house though. Blair is a beef jerky freak between the actual like Jack Link sticks and then beef jerky, like the bags of it. So I can't give that as an answer because we eat that on a weekly basis. Yeah, it's the norm here. Like they're beef jerky freaks in that family.
It's so funny that those are the first things that we eat. And look, if you're out of power for like weeks, then Vienna sausages obviously are going to be very, crucial because potted meats, as Nicole said, because they last a long time. But like, it's the first thing you eat. So you're almost done with it in day one of the hurricane. Like, to me, get you some, some sandwich meat, keep that in a cooler, make some sandwiches for a couple days. And if you need, but no, we go straight for the Vienna sausages.
That's
nasty.
Kayla gets the canned tuna and the canned chicken. What's the one with the canned chicken with the water in it? You open it up, you put it on the cracker. Yeah, that's. I remember we stocked that up one time, and I was thinking, I've never really had I've had canned tuna numerous times, but canned chicken, I was like, that's a first. I've never had that before.
I've never had spam, but I know
if you fry that spam, he ain't lying. It's just as good as bacon if you know what the hell you're doing. Spam sandwich is awesome if you put that in a skillet, no doubt about it.
What if
hit the nail on the head with that one.
What if you took some Vienna sausages with the spam and like put that in a little shaws, cut that up together, mix it up, make you a little
you
spam
absolutely
and Vienna
could.
sausage?
I mean, you could take a Vienna sausage and lightly cut it in half and put it on a skillet, whatever. Or you can make a smash dog with it. I know a lot of people in the Lafayette and Scott area know about those smash dogs. You can definitely make a smash dog with a Vienna sausage. Same way you do fried spam. So trust me, I know a lot of y'all have a bad taste in your mouth literally with Vienna sausage, but it's what I grew up on in the duck blinds, and I would eat that. I mean, if there was cans in front of me right now, I would eat it live on this show. I love that shit.
I honestly don't know if I've ever had Vienna sausage in my life. I've seen it.
Oh, that don't surprise me.
There's probably some in their pantry right now from 1986.
You see, Cole's gonna eat the Vienna sausage and drink out his Delcom Reebok after that, right?
That would be something we might have to put on air. Hold on. We might be onto something. Hey, next week, y'all tune in.
Got the boot on one hand and the Vienna sausage on the other.
My dude's going to get the Vavites and not understand why. Bologna. I can't do bologna, man. Ever since John Dugas said that... Fabes, I'm sorry, but he said Faber smelled like fried bologna. I've never gotten that out of my head.
I'm gonna say this, Nick. There was an Acadiana bar and grill in Broussard a couple years ago where they made one of the best fried bologna sandwiches I've ever had. And if you would have had it, you would have changed your mind about bologna. Because if you do it right, fried bologna is almost like a Spam sandwich. If you fry it right, it really is good. But anyway,
maybe we will at the first home tailgate this year have a Vienna sausage eat off. That'd be awesome.
Mike's like, no.
I'm not saying I'm participating. I'm just saying some people can do that. Not name me.
I'll let Cole compete in my honor. How's that? I'll let
There you
Cole
go. Boys,
I'll
it
judge.
has been a lot of fun. It has been a lot of fun. Glad to see y'all again. I won't judge. I won't watch because that grosses me out. But it's been a lot of fun. AD search will be interesting. It's always interesting when a search is on because, we listen to every single news, broadcast that they have and people talking about it and the things we hear. So we'll be doing more of that as we go through early football season. Hopefully this gets done sooner than later, but if not, we'll keep you abreast of anything that we hear, whether it's here on our show, on the website at rageandreview.com. Check out Cajun Threads too. A lot of great information gets shared there. Appreciate our boy Adrian who really runs that site for us. It's awesome. And of course, on all of the socials, like, subscribe, and share for us here on YouTube. We do appreciate you joining us tonight. For our boy Josh, who joined us earlier, for KG, for Mike, and for Jerry, I am Nicholas. Season 9 is underway, boys and girls. Let's have a good time and let's get some wins. Until next time, as always, go Cajuns.
Hold her up tight, make a little loving, a little turtle doving on a Mason-Dixon night. Fix my life.